You're watching First Alert 7 News at 9 on the CW and live on YouTube with Lauren Munt and weather with Tom Tiefertiller.
If we look at our region, particularly Ector County, our bachelor degree attainment rate is around 16%. The state of Texas is in the 30 percentile, and the nation is around 40% plus with bachelor degree attainment. So we knew that there was work for us to do in the Permian Basin.
Our top story tonight comes out of Martin County, where one person is dead and another two are injured following an explosion at a saltwater disposal site. According to Martin County Sheriff Brad Ingram, the explosion happened at Highway 846 on the Howard-Martin County line at around 9:36 this morning. Now, we don't know the condition of the two injured, but we were told that one person was airlifted to a hospital for treatment and another was driven by ambulance. We will, of course, update you as we learn more. And the city of Odessa says it has received concerns from residents about the smell in the water. Now the city says the water is safe and that the Colorado River Municipal Water District, which delivers the city water supply, changed its inflow line to the plant. That caused odor issues in the water supply. The city says it immediately began to address the odor issue and that, again, the water supply always remained safe. Got an update for you now. Former Odessa Permian football standout James Booby Miles was found not guilty by a jury in his domestic violence case. Miles was accused of beating and choking his ex-wife in March of 2023. Police say that she was found passed out in her car with strangle marks on her neck and other injuries. However, at the trial, the ex-wife recanted the story that she told police when Miles was arrested. Miles is already serving 13 years in prison. That's for a whole other case where he failed to register as a sex offender. Turning now to an in-depth story featuring never before seen images. Velma Nessett, a beloved mother, co-worker, and friend, was last seen on April 19, 1982. That morning, she failed to show up to work or meet her daughter for lunch, sparking concern among her loved ones. First Alert 7's Isabella Garriga reports.
Eventually, law enforcement was notified, a search began, and by that afternoon, she was found deceased in a drainage culvert adjacent to Permian Mall.
She had been sexually assaulted and stabbed. In that same year, a man confessed to the crime.
It was taken to trial, and he was acquitted at trial and found not guilty for lack of evidence by the jury.
And the case eventually went cold. In 2006, the Texas Rangers teamed up with the Odessa Police Department.
The Odessa Police Department submitted all the physical evidence back to the DPS lab, and that's when they found a suspect DNA profile in the form of a semen stain on the victim's pants.
Despite this breakthrough, the suspect remained unidentified, and the case remained unsolved. Fast forward to 2020. The Sexual Assault Kit Initiative funding from the Department of Justice allowed for further analysis. The unidentified DNA sample was sent to a private lab, where a whole genome sequence was created and uploaded to ancestry databases.
It identified Billy Ludwigson as a suspect by his DNA and where those family networks had merged.
Adding to the evidence, Ludwigson had 2 marijuana possession charges in Odessa in 1982, the same year Velma Nessett was murdered. Texas Ranger Jeff Strain and Odessa Police Detective Justin Cade began surveillance on Ludwigson, who was located in Denver, Colorado.
At a bus bench waiting for the bus, Justin Cade was in plain clothes, sat down beside him, and Billy Ludwigson smoked a cigarette and threw it directly in front of Justin Cade, waited. Billy got on the bus and left, and Justin Cade reached down and picked up the cigarette butt.
The cigarette butt was tested and compared to the DNA profile found on Nessett's pants back in 1982, and it came back as a match. Now 62, Billy Wayne Ludwigson pled guilty to the crime he committed at 20. He was sentenced to 20 years in a Texas Department of Criminal Justice prison by an Ector County jury.
This is just one example of the many cold cases that are in West Texas. We're very hopeful that as this technology keeps progressing, that we're going to be able to find some justice for some of these other victims and their families.
Along with improvements to DNA testing, there have been rapid advancements in fingerprinting, toll marks, firearms, and even more, giving hope to detectives that more West Texas cold cases can be solved and more West Texas families can have closure. Turning now to some energy news. The Public Utilities Commission approved the Permian Basin Reliability Plan today. That plan provides infrastructure upgrades for electrical transmission and distribution right here in the Permian Basin. The Electric Reliability Plan for the Permian Basin would help keep oil and gas operations running even in emergency situations, like that winter storm in 2021 that caused major rolling blackouts all across the state. Turning to some oil and gas news, the average price of gas per gallon in Texas has not changed in the past week. It's staying at $2.78. And the national average also hasn't changed in the past week, sitting at $3.22 per gallon. But the average price per gallon in Midland, Odessa has actually gone down. In Midland, the average price per gallon is the same as the state average, again at $2.78. And in Odessa, the average price per gallon is even cheaper. That's $2.73. We're going to take a pause now and talk your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Tom Teller. Tom, it's been a beautiful day. It's honestly been a really beautiful week. Is that going to continue?
Yeah, we're going to see some quiet weather here in West Texas. Not the case, though, in the eastern Gulf of Mexico and Florida. Let's take a trip back over to the southeast U.S. and show you what's going on with Hurricane Helene that is spinning here and about to move in across portions of the Big Bend area of Florida. We'll zoom in and show you what's going on with that. Again, seeing that that's about to make landfall here near Perry, Keaton Beach is where it's going to impact. But as you can see, the eye wall extends all the way out to areas. It's going to be close to Tallahassee, too, so its winds are up to 140 miles an hour, a Category 4 storm, so it is a monster taking aim on the Florida Panhandle back towards West Texas, where it's been an extremely quiet day, and temperatures topped out in the mid-80s, so not too bad out there across the area, as we're currently looking at those readings into the mid-70s. And humidity levels are very comfortable at the present time, so it's going to be a quiet overnight as we'll see those temperatures drop down into the lower 60s and more the same in the forecast. We'll talk about that, get you ready for your weekend here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Tom. It was a beautiful day to collect peanut butter, and we here at First Alert 7 are so thankful for all of our viewers who showed up to support the West Texas Food Bank. Now, we've talked all month long about how important peanut butter is for the food bank, but we just can't stress enough how vital the household staple is for those with food insecurities. Peanut butter is high in nutritional value and it stays fresh for months. It also requires no preparation or refrigeration and can stay good on the shelf for up to 2 years after it's bought.
You know, the holiday season is coming up, fall is happening, kids are back in school, and peanut butter is just a good shelf-stable item that, we can use anytime, anywhere.
Now, if you missed out on the First Alert 7 Peanut Butter Drive, don't worry. You can donate to the West Texas Food Bank all year long. As part of the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, we here at First Alert 7 are highlighting Hispanic leaders right here in the Permian Basin. And tonight we're talking about Curbside Bistro's Chef Alejandro, who's well known not just for his award-winning food, but also all of the ways that he helps the West Texas community. And one of the ways the local chef wants to help the community is by supporting young culinary dreams.
I don't want to be the only one that's made it to the Food Network or opening up a restaurant. I want to carry the torch for the next person, then the young culinarians coming up and be like, all right, well, now you're going to host a show on the Food Network. Or I have 2 restaurants, you're going to own 5 restaurants. Or you're going to own 6 restaurants. So it's the whole end game is to motivate everybody to be better than what I've already did.
For years now, Chef Alejandro has served free hot meals on Thanksgiving Day, and this year will be no different. Midland College has announced that their membership with the Community College Baccalaureate Association, which means that it'll expand its classes to include even more 4-year degrees. The Community College Baccalaureate Association aims to give affordable access to community college and baccalaureate degrees in efforts to close the nation's ethnic, racial, and economic gaps. Now, before joining the CCBA, Midland College offered 2 baccalaureate programs, Health Information Management and Organizational Management. With the new partnership, Midland College is now able to expand these programs.
I believe it would be very helpful for Midland College and the community in general. I believe that the community college baccalaureate does have a strong connection with the community, as well as addressing for needs of our employers and the workforce in the area.
Odessa College began offering similar programs back in 2019, and both colleges believe expanding these programs will attract more students and advance their career paths. Today, 46 organizations attended the Salvation Army of Midland's Resource Fair to share their information and services with the community. The nonprofits covered everything from help for veterans to low-income insurance to health services and even more. The fair was originally started last year due to a lack of resource access in South Midland, but after receiving a positive response, they decided to do it again. This year, there was an even larger turnout.
They did give me some good information. I got a few pamphlets and stuff like that. They did tell me about, the resources.
It's imperative for the people. Midland is a growing state, it's a growing county. Texas is a beautiful state. And when we have things such as this, it just helps the people to be able to come out and to be able to better their lives.
Over 300 people attended the event, and the Salvation Army is planning on hosting the Resource Fair again next year. Coming up, opening day for the State Fair of Texas is tomorrow. We're talking about safety, last-minute preparations, and even more after the break. Across the state, opening day for the State Fair of Texas is tomorrow, and the final preparations for keeping fairgoers safe are being made. An estimated 2 million people will make their way into the Dallas Fair Park starting tomorrow. Steve Pickett with our CBS affiliate in Dallas reports on the safety measures and the preparation at the State Fair.
You're going to have security right here on
Yes, sir.
Searching, if you will.
Yes, sir. You'll walk straight through the switchback, and we will have our open gates metal detection right here.
That preparation includes a change at the entrance gates, separate lines for people with bags, an effort to speed up crowds and get all through required metal detection searches. Nate Gross oversees the State Fair safety and security plan.
Absolutely. We believe that we are the safest place for an entertainment destination, and we have only upped our measures.
The fair's gun ban, except for peace officers, remains in place with just 2 days to go before this year's start. Assigned Dallas police officers arrived this afternoon as part of the fair security campaign. Added this year, a security command center tied to not only the network of police patrolling fairgrounds, but connected to this, cameras that are monitoring all activity here. There's another change coming on Friday, and you'll have to deal with it even before you get entry into the fairgrounds. $30 for parking. This year, a $10 increase for the 12,000 parking spots in fair parking lots. The money, they say, pays for fair security.
Public safety and security expenses were in the neighborhood of $6.5 million. We're forecasting this year to be in $7.5 million. So investing in the public safety of our fairgoers is paramount.
At Fair Park, Steve Pickett, CBS News, Texas.
Well, we are looking at some pretty tranquil weather out there that's going to hang on through the weekend. We'll talk about all that coming up next.
Now, from the First Alert 7 Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, a pretty quiet weather pattern shaping up across West Texas. Big reason why, high pressure in control of the weather. A lot of interesting things going on this map. Want to show you all the dry air that's coming around the backside of Hurricane Helene, and that is moving into the western Gulf of Mexico. But also interesting, too, is there's a hurricane down in the eastern Pacific named John, and some of the mid to high level moisture associated with it is getting drawn into Helene. You can kind of see that interaction down there on the bottom of your screen. There's Helene, winds up to 140 miles an hour, so a Category 4 storm right now as it barrels into the Tallahassee, Perry area in the Big Bend of Florida, the Florida Panhandle. And no effects here in Texas, West Texas. We are high and dry. It's a picture perfect evening out there with some great temperatures across the area. Today we saw those readings across the state, really not all that bad for this time of the year, into the upper 80s to low 90s across many locations. And again, we topped out at 86 out at the Midland National Air and Spaceport. Probably see a carbon copy of this coming up for tomorrow. Now the Futurecast is showing that not a lot happening in the skies across West Texas, as we're going to be looking at pretty quiet conditions over the next 24 to 48 hours. Maybe a high cloud or two drifting across portions of southeast New Mexico should really be about it. So expect a wonderful weekend. try to get out there and enjoy it. And if you're heading to area football games, it looks fantastic on Friday night. Rest of tonight, lower 60s on the way with clear skies, light winds, and low humidity levels. So a nice start to the day, and we'll add a couple of degrees to the afternoon highs tomorrow. Some areas pushing 90 plus, especially across the Trans-Pecos, all the way up to 95 in Pecos and 97 there in Presidio along the Rio Grande for tomorrow afternoon. And again, same thing over and over again with temperatures staying in the mid to upper 80s through the weekend and into next week. We'll see another weak cool front drop down across the area late Tuesday into Wednesday, not having a big impact on temperature and keeping things relatively nice. What I notice about all this is the mornings are fantastic, right around 60 degrees, and that looks to be the case. So just a hint of fall in our forecast on those morning lows next few days.
Up next here at 9, we've got your First Alert 7 Sports Player of the Week, plus more local sports up next. All right, it's time for the First Alert 7 Player of the Week. And for the second week in a row, it's actually two players. First Alert 7's Jensen Young has more on Midland Legacy's JP Reyes and Aiden Serrano.
The Midland Legacy Rebels won their first game of the 2024 season in Abilene against the Eagles, and the Rebels won in historic fashion. Sophomore quarterback JP Reyes started his first varsity game, replacing Jaden Rogers following his injury in Week 3. In his first career start, Reyes threw for 422 yards and 6 touchdowns, breaking the record for passing yards in a single game set by Mikey Serrano in 2018.
It means a lot. I mean, it's cool. I mean, my first varsity start, did good, did what I can, and just helped out and I couldn't do my O-line and all that stuff, so my receivers, everybody helped out to get that record, so it was cool. It was fun.
One of the receivers who helped him reach the passing record was senior Aiden Serrano. He started the game just one catch shy of the career receptions record of 142, held by Loic Fungi. Serrano finished with 9 catches, 197 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. He has been an integral part to Legacy's success in recent years, so he is happy to see his name in the record books for a historic program.
It's pretty neat. Look at this place. It's a big legacy, and for me to be a part of the record books is pretty cool.
On Saturday, JP, Aiden, and the Rebels take on the Ruston Bearcats out of Louisiana.
The Rebels will face the Ruston Bearcats at Choctaw Stadium in Arlington. Now, Ruston is the defending 5A state champions in Louisiana, and they haven't lost a football game since December of 2022. Head coach Clint Hartman is excited for the challenge, and he hopes his players bring a sense of urgency.
They haven't lost since state champ. They haven't lost. I don't know what their winning streak is. I know they were undefeated last year, and they're still undefeated. So whatever that is, when you have a team that doesn't know how to lose, you got to take it from them. That ain't gonna be easy. So the big thing for us all week is we got to take it from them because they're gonna fight you because they're not used to losing. It's gonna be a great matchup.
Kickoff this Saturday is set for 2 p.m. Now, the Rebels won't be the only team that's playing on Saturday. The Odessa Broncos will face the Ellison Eagles at Shotwell Stadium. The Eagles are 1-3, but head coach Eric Hartman isn't taking them lightly.
Well, they won the week before. They're good offensively again, so it could be a shootout. But I think our defense is going to step up. I mean, our job is the same, is to go out and win a game, and so we'll prepare this week and we'll prepare the same next week.
All right, Tom, I've got another space story for you tonight. We talked a little about some theoretical stuff last night. Tonight, we're talking about a striped surprise that was found on another planet. NASA's Perseverance captured images of this black and white striped rock last week on Mars. It kind of looks like a zebra. It's been nearly a month since the rover started its climb up steep slopes hunting for ancient rocks. A team of scientists were amazed by this discovery, and they named it Freya Castle. The so-called zebra rock is believed to have a texture unlike any seen on Mars before. Now, since Freya Castle is a loose stone, it's likely it got there from rolling downhill from a source higher up. Now, scientists hope the discovery can teach them about early Martian history. It's the latest in a series of intriguing rocks that they've discovered recently.
And there's a lot of times, that they'll show a group of rocks and, oh, that's a Martian hut, or, they always, there's a lot of people out there with some vivid imaginations on some of this stuff, but then it turns out they get a little bit closer to it, and it's a rock.
It's just a rock.
It's a rock. But a pretty rock.
But you can start telling people that they found zebras on Mars.
Well, that'll get your attention, I'll tell you.
Then you have to explain that it was a rock, but it's still...
And I'm glad you put stories like this in.
Of course.
Because the weather
We got
not
nothing.
much going on, okay? And it's going to stay that way. Looking for a nice weekend.
Thanks for joining us.